So I want to show you an example of number 4. If you look at number 4, explain how you actively monitor students' actions during the learning task and ask questions or provided corrective feedback to improve student competencies. And then part B, explain how you use instructional cues and prompts, explorations, demonstrations, and or student analysis of their own and or others' psychomotor skills to develop student competencies in the psychomotor and at least one other learning domain. So let me bring up the example. So here is an example of a task 2 commentary. Now this student on their task 2 commentary got 3 5s and 2 4s. So really good score. So I felt like this was a good way to share with you an example of a submission for one of the prompts for task 2. So let's just look at it together. Number 4, explain how you actively monitor students' actions during the learning task and ask questions or provided corrective feedback to improve student competencies. Now notice the wording. At clip 1, 819. So I'm going to find the 819 mark in clip 1. I actively monitor students' actions during the learning task by using back-to-the-wall monitoring. Again, that's terms that you should be familiar with. And always placing myself where I can see every student. Okay, so now as a scorer, I know that this teacher put himself in a position where all students could be seen. Clip 2, 547 mark. I asked if someone could raise their hand and give me one physical change that they experienced today in PE. One student raised his hand and told me sweat. This led to a great discussion on why we sweat and what it means. I believe this improves student competencies within the realm of physical changes and how physical activity affects our body. This should have helped them get a better understanding of what was expected of them in their homework. So the question may be, what does that have to do with prompt A? Explain how you actively monitor students' actions during the learning task and asked questions or provided corrective feedback to improve student competency. So, a very simple question led to a discussion, issues related to health, which helped with improving student competencies. Clip 1, 825 mark. I provided corrective feedback by helping focus student 2 with their two-handed overhand head strike by telling him to not jump while performing his overhead strike. Then again at clip 1, 849, by reminding him to get under the ball. Clip 1, 913 to 932, I noticed that focus student number 2 was having a little trouble, so I tried tossing to him to show him that he can accomplish a good set if his toss was good. I also reminded him of incorporating his triangle and finger pads, which led to improved student competence. So there's a couple of things here I want to point out to really help you better understand your submission and the way that you phrase or word your response. A couple of things. One, he referred to multiple clips in this submission. You don't have to just focus on one. You can actually pinpoint different times when it occurred as long as you are addressing the question. I also like how in clip 1, let me show you where, a time frame was placed. And so having a time frame helps the score. When I go watch the video, 913 to 932, that's the segment I'm going to watch. What you have to ensure is that the time frame matches the content that you're talking about, because there have been situations where I've watched a clip and it didn't really match up with what it was I was searching for. A couple of other things. What did you notice in this submission that related to improving student competency? One, providing corrective feedback, because the teacher noticed that the student was doing something wrong, and so corrective feedback was provided. But notice the progression in the clip numbers, 825, 849, 913. So feedback was provided multiple times. At the third clip, the student was still having trouble. So what happened? Teacher stepped in, the teacher tossed the ball, the student was able to achieve some success. Now, one of the reasons for doing that was so that the cues could be incorporated and reminding the student of using the cues, which can potentially lead to greater success. So this is just one example from task 2, prompt 4. Now, here's what I want you to notice. As a teacher, it should excite you to write about this, because this is you showing that instruction is happening. Not only is instruction happening, but follow-up visits with the student, feedback is being provided, and then here's the most important part. Student learning is occurring. Okay, competencies have taken place. And so as a teacher, as a student, this should be something that excites you and gives you an opportunity to show quality teaching in your classroom. So that represents the commentary. The last thing I want to show you, the last thing I want to go over with you, are the student rubrics. And so we're going to look at rubrics 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. Rubric 6, and again we'll look at level 1 and level 5. Level 1, candidate allows disruptive behavior to interfere with student learning, or there are safety problems visible on the video, posing an immediate danger to students. The clip reveals evidence of disrespectful interactions between teacher and student or between students. Again, a level 1 should not happen. If you are taking the necessary approach to teaching your classroom in an appropriate way, I don't expect anybody to come close to a level 1 for rubric 6. Now, look at level 4 to better understand level 5. Candidate provides a positive, low-risk environment with well-established rules, routines, and transitions that is emotionally and physically safe, and that maximizes time on tasks related to learning goals. The most challenging aspect for beginning teachers in the level 4 category is maximizing time on task. You have to minimize instruction, follow good protocols, and do everything in your power, not only to maximize time on task, but also the amount of feedback that you're providing as a teacher. To get a level 5, tasks are challenging for all students. So again, we notice differentiation. You have students that are going to be at a normal level. You're going to have some that are really good that need that extra challenge, and then you have some that are lower skilled, which means you need to refine it and make it more appropriate to the level that they are at. So if you're doing that, then tasks will be challenging for all students. What a scorer doesn't want to see is students doing the task and the scorer realizes that was just way too easy, or the scorer may realize there wasn't a lot of success. Students were really having a difficult time achieving the goal of the task. So that's rubric 6. Let's look at rubric 7, engaging students in learning. Level 1, students are participating in tasks that are superficially related to the central focus. Look at level 5. Students are engaged in learning tasks that focus on making connections between performance in the psychomotor domain and related competencies in the cognitive and affective domains. If you only pinpoint one, that brings us back to a level 4. But if you're able to show competencies in both cognitive and affective, you have a greater chance of achieving a level 5. Rubric 8, strengthening student competencies. Level 1, candidate monitors students' actions without intervening. Or candidate responses include significant content and accuracies that will lead to student misunderstandings. So in other words, you're observing student performance and no engagement occurs. You're not stepping in to make corrections. You're not stepping in to enhance what's taking place. And so being active and being an active teacher is important. Also making sure that you understand the content that you're teaching. Level 5, candidate actively monitors and facilitates interactions among students so they can provide individual, here's the word again, differentiated feedback to their peers during the learning task to improve competencies in psychomotor and cognitive or affective domains. Now, notice the key word here. Facilitates interaction among students so they can provide individual, differentiated feedback to their peers. Understanding the cues. What am I looking for? What do those cues represent? How can I convey that message to a fellow classmate? Students love being observed and being assisted by their peers. So why not give them the tools to be able to do that more effectively? Level 9, subject-specific pedagogy. Candidate implements learning tasks that are inappropriate to develop the student competencies in the central focus. So look at your lesson plan. What is the central focus? Are you implementing learning tasks that are going to develop that central focus? Level 5. Let's go and read level 4 since it has a level 4 plus. Candidate implements appropriate learning tasks that include instructional cues, prompts, and explorations, demonstrations that are differentiated for individuals or groups with similar learning needs. So here we see a language that's very familiar to what we read in the task 2 commentary. So here, differentiation is what they're looking for, making sure that we're meeting the needs of all students. But to get a level 5, candidate facilitates student application of their knowledge of movement to analyze their own and or other psychomotor skills. And so this goes back to the assessment piece, looking at how we can incorporate that to achieve a level 5 for task 9. And then finally, task 10, analyzing teaching effectiveness. Candidate suggests changes unrelated to evidence of student learning. So again, doesn't relate. So look at what happens in your class, look at the student learning, look at the effectiveness of your teaching. What can I do to enhance that lesson to make it better in the future? So level 4, candidate proposes changes in teaching practice that address individual and collective learning needs related to the central focus. It always goes back to the central focus. Candidate makes connections to research and or theory. Level 4 plus. Candidate justifies changes using principles of research and theory. So in order for you to support the changes that you're suggesting, you want to provide research and theory so that there's evidence there based on prior research to support what it is you're trying to accomplish. So let me go ahead and share with you one other thing. So what I want us to look at now, if you go to content on eCourseware and you go to research and theory. So here are some documents that you can look at that's going to give you some feedback related to research and theory. As I said in the prior video, if you need some feedback in relation to theory or research related to physical education, please feel free to contact me. I can give you some good resources to use to kind of help guide your path when you're looking to find resources to use in order to support what it is you're trying to justify. I hope these 2 videos have been beneficial. Since we didn't get to meet this week, I want to give you an opportunity to dive a little bit more into task 2 and how to complete your work for this week. Please make sure that your task 2 is submitted by next Friday night by 11:59 p.m. So please work hard on that. If you have any questions, please let me know. Have a great day. Enjoy your weekend.